Welcome back. Time now to connect the dots when we make the news make sense. More and more cities and counties are implementing those mask mandates we were talking about just a few minutes ago. Now, new research is finding that wearing a mask could be even more important than washing your hands. There's been a lot of talk lately about scientists now believing coronavirus is airborne. But what does that mean, and should it change what we're doing? Let's connect the dots. Growing evidence shows that coronavirus can travel in tiny droplets in the air, hanging out possibly for hours, infecting people who then inhale that air. That means coronavirus is what scientists called aerosolized. Before, it was believed coronavirus only traveled in larger droplets produced when people coughed or sneezed. The tinier droplets are produced by just breathing or talking. So what does this mean for prevention? The short answer is less Lysol wipes and more masks. That's because larger droplets fall on surfaces, meaning transmission could often happen by contact with a contaminated surface. Now that experts believe the virus is smaller and hanging out in the air, masks take on new importance. The other takeaway from this new finding is the importance of ventilation. Being outdoors is a lot safer than a crowded indoor space. Experts also recommend opening windows or running the air conditioner when possible. And that is connecting the dots.